Hello, everyone, and welcome to another RigER webinar that we're hosting today. That's going to be a very interesting and special one. And while we're waiting for everybody to join, a quick intro of what we're going to be talking about. It's not a typical webinar that we're going to be talking about today. The topic is not necessarily the digital oil field or some aspects of how RigER helps its clients to manage information for the operations management, or on the operations management side, rather. We're going to more talking about an initiative that we undertook in the past several months to collect extremely valuable insights from some of the industry leaders, including different groups of people. And we're thrilled to share with you what we found out today. So today's topic is going to be oilfield after COVID-19, managing the downturn and adjust to the new reality. There's going to be two of us facilitating and moderating this conversation. So it's going to be myself, Nikolai, or you can see me in the picture, and Michael Maltsev, our CEO. So we're going to be hosting, sharing the insights, and having a conversation, providing some interesting information to you guys today. So the agenda, generally speaking, is going to cover several topics. So we'll talk a little bit about the crisis. Again, we know that we've been in it, all of us. So it's not a history, it's a reality right now. So we'll talk about how the oil field has reacted to the crisis. Again, many of us who are in the industry know what exactly has happened, but we'll just kind of share some of the interesting insights that we've discovered and found through a number of different sources. We'll talk about the new business reality and what we did as an organization, a product-focused and client-oriented company. Some insights on how we're going to go back to work, all of us and any of us. And we'll talk a little bit about the digital oil field and how that is playing a role in the next several months or years for many, or where is it at the moment as far as the dealing with the crisis sort of reality and fallout, so to speak. And then we'll, of course, have a Q&A session at the end.
Hello, everyone. This is Michael, and welcome to RigER webinar. So thank you, Nikolai, and let's move forward and talk about a new reality. Yeah, we heard those words, new reality, so many times last several months, and it's become a buzzword, but it is what it is. So let's talk about what we did. And today we will present our discoveries and ideas and insights which we had through the strategic sessions with business leaders, which we did past 2 months with investors, managers, consultants, sales, operations, accountants, and HR professionals, our clients, and industry leaders. So it was very, very interesting experience for us, and we'd like to continue those strategic sessions with the business leaders down the road because we see a big impact for us and we have a great feedback from them because it was useful and very insightful for them as well. So let's talk about the perfect storm we faced and what kind of two events coming together almost simultaneously changed our life dramatically. So one was a global pandemic, and to tell you the truth, in February it was like kind of a local event. Everyone's thinking, okay, it's just a China or Asia event, but it's not a reality right now. The global pandemic, which is a unprecedented event for the history of humankind. Kind of similar event, or maybe not that global scale, was 100 years ago, but right now we faced a completely different story. And And another event impacted the oil and gas industry was the oil price war, which started in March between Russia and Saudi Arabia, and definitely impact everyone in oil and gas sector.
So there you have it. So we have a perfect storm of two events coinciding, and as a result, I guess we came into the situation that was defined as crisis, or maybe even a plural crises that is has revealed rather some of the new trends, and maybe not necessarily new, but some of the existing ones that may not have been in the front kind of line for many of us.
Definitely, those crises like increase the impact of the new trends, which we saw a couple years ago, the starting of those industry 4.0. But right now it's become a must or a chance to survive for most of the industries, most of the businesses. And those trends are 5G, big data, cybersecurity is very important right now because more and more businesses move to digital world and starting even run the business in digital world. Digital platforms growing, and we see the success of Amazon and other digital platforms which work in pandemic and double or triple loads during this challenging time. Definitely, a big thing is a work from home, and everyone faced that situation right now, and it's a big challenge for most of the traditional businesses. Cloud computing, we see that, say, like the example which we and help our clients to move from, say, for example, QuickBooks Desktop to QuickBooks Online. This is a big trend right now. So I believe that most of the clients will move to the QBO sooner or later. And we see more and more clients requested for RigER integration with QBO, not the QuickBooks Desktop. Another thing is more robotics and drones are very actively reusing and booming, actually, and the Internet of Things growing, voice interfaces and chatbots, and the entire like digital transformation and Industry 4.0 technologies become more and more popular. So, how COVID-19 impact business? We all know that most of the world start working from home. So this is number one trend, and it's a big shift for most of the businesses, and not everyone was ready to run business from home. It's a new reality for many of the businesses. For oil and gas, it was not that critical because oil and gas is an essential business, and most of the workers continue work with the new environment, however, with some limitations. Talking about working from home, we definitely need to revise the concept of work-life balance, because work-life balance not exist anymore because you do not have you couldn't make a border between work and life, because you work from home and work and life happen simultaneously, especially when you work with kids in the same room, which is kind of challenge. The fast changing environment, I remember that everything started in March. It was like every single hour you receive a new portion of information, which could be sometimes controversial and sometimes very unpredictable, and it was really tough to analyze and understand what's going on and how things will develop. It was stressful for sure. And based on that, business have to right now have to understand those risks and change the business models in sometimes or adopt the business model to the new reality. Another thing which we see as a big trend is intelligent spaces or smart homes and smart offices. And we will talk about this a little bit later. But I'd like to tell that one of the things which we realized, not all the homes was designed for work from home. So we see that people work from a bedroom, from kitchen, from a backyard, some kind of not specified places for offices. So this is a big trend, I believe, because the developers or builders they will adjust home plans and build some kind of office space in the home. So definitely, business models should include risk of pandemic, and every business right now start including pandemic to the business continuity plan. And another thing become very important is cash access or cash balance. And right now we see that the company need to have cash for 3 to 4 months to survive, and it's a huge amount of money. And definitely for many businesses faces with the big challenge how to survive those 3 to 4 months quarantine period. And definitely office buildings not designed for social distancing. And this is what we see right now when business start reopening, and how people struggling in the offices. Nikolai, would you
Yeah,
like to add something?
especially in the large buildings. So we've noticed that this is the immediate impact. Even if you're an essential business, you have to run it. This is what we've heard from many of our counterparts when we had these meetings, collecting this insight, is that it's all of a sudden had to change. Nobody had any guidelines how to. Now there's more of it. Information is becoming available, and now companies that are renting out space, that are owning the businesses or the buildings and leasing the spaces out to the different businesses, they are now implementing certain procedures and processes to ensure that they're compliant to some of the now what is changing requirements. So it's going to be very interesting. It's change all around, and I think there's been a huge impact that nobody's able now to sort of assess properly to what it will entail in the end. We're going to live with the consequences, but it's an interesting time of an opportunity as well. So a lot of things will be changing as a result of this, and we've only seen probably the sort of the surface of the iceberg, but not the whole extent of it.
So yes, right now we have a new business reality, and this is what we see as our discoveries in our conversation with our interviews with business leaders and experts. So first of all, definitely it will be a very, very slow reopening procedure, and some of the businesses will never open in the scale which they had in the past in 2019. Some of the businesses will open in a 10, 30, 50, 70% for next 3, 6, 9, 12 months. And it will be a really challenging process.
Yeah, it definitely will be. So new HEC policy is going to be becoming part of the change that everybody has to do and implement in place. There's going to be new travel policy. So we all know that travel is still restricted to a degree, and it probably will be restricted by the companies themselves, just to make sure that they keep at bay the expenses of what happens after, because everybody who is traveling probably will be sent on quarantine for however many weeks they have to be able to work, not to expose their coworkers that have never traveled to anywhere so that you would just going to go through that period on your own at home or at a home office, so to speak, and then but would still be productively working. So that's going to be a different policy. We also see that the logistics have changed. So just-in-time delivery is now obliterated because of, we're literally obliterated simply because of the challenges in the logistical supplies chains. So there's more local vendors are now being considered, and regional diversification of who you work with. So it's a big change for those who rely significantly on the supplies.
Yeah, definitely. When we talk about regional diversification, if you work with a certain region, say Asia, Latin America, or North America, you need to be sure that you have a second option to to run your business smoothly. Another thing that which we see will happen next couple of years. It's a moving production back to Europe and USA because the cost of labor become not a factor for the new manufacturing and new plants, because more and more new manufacturers consider robotics and less labor intensive production. So that will cause of moving back to Europe and USA. Global labor market will change, and we see that self-identification is the main driver for employees to choose the company what for whom they will work for. So for me, it doesn't matter where for how the office looks like, because I'm working from my home, and it's up to me how I will design my office. And working for the good company become more valuable. And I'm talking about companies where we're mostly focusing on people or ideas or values or internal culture. This become more important. So in this case, it's becoming challenging for employer how to unite and motivate people, how to organize this digital process, and how to work with this digital environment.
And it's a big one. It's a big thing simply because we used to have the town halls, and this is what some of our clients, especially with the larger group of employees that they need to manage, so they used to have this, mass meetings where, there was no social distances at the time required, and the communicating was fast and immediate. You can see through the nonverbal communication necessary information, and can adjust your message if need be, and communicate information again fast, because it's just the fastest way is just person to person, and you get an immediate response. Now things have changed, so you have to now rely more and more on the technology of different kinds. So you have to revisit how you're communicating, how often, how do you get the feedback, and ensure that information is translated, so to speak, in the right, in the intended sort of content, if you will.
Yeah, the next thing is electronic documents and paperless document flow. It just it's become a more and more popular from one perspective. From another perspective, people do not want to touch paper. They do not want to touch anything. And documents become electronic. So, and again, to use electronic documents, you need to have a wearable device. You need to have a tablet, phone, computer, laptop, whatever.
Yeah, we also know that what we've noticed that the expectation in many companies that we have spoken to, and we definitely feel ourselves, that the speed of work, how the work has been done, is extremely important, simply because it's a different pace of life now. So every minute is valuable. More of that minutes or less are spent in traffic, in travel. So that impacts that significantly. We see that there's people that are claiming that now things are done faster, simply because there's less of a time waste. But some things can take longer, especially when it comes to the communication. That's what we were talking about. It's the value that is of this, how fast the work has to be done and needs to be done. It has gone significantly up, and of course, this new reality brings the new marketing and sales tools for Oilfield. It is as always important and has been important to have the face-to-face communications and in-person meetings. Now, for both the marketing and the sales activities, now these things are changing, and it's an interesting trend as well. Speaking of which, we've identified through our conversations several main items on the marketing and sales sort of function of the business and what has changed. So definitely, the trend that has been very popular in the modern technology-driven enterprises such as digital marketing is now taking more and more, and now probably overtaking other activities, the marketing activities. So it's becoming extremely popular. Demand is going to be growing, but we know that with the growing demand, there's going to be an influx of the different tools and the people and organizations performing sets. So it's going to become less expensive, but it's going to be for a time less effective as well until it gets readjusted. But everybody's now exploring this actively. So networking is another big thing, especially in the oil field. It's important to who you know when you do the business with people. So some companies have always been proponents that a strong handshake is the best seal you can ever get, because we just don't believe in paper. We don't believe in any other legal documents. It's just an in-person communication, and that became an important part of the culture. Now there's going to be a shift into the digital networking. So digital handshakes probably, as well as the referral, and some of the networks will be facilitating that kind of interaction so people would get to know each other in a not in-person environment. The virtual and hybrid conferences and shows are now taking a leap of faith, because this technology has been just nascent, was only evolving and developing, and now it's becoming more and more prevalent. And people and technology companies that have been building those platforms for the virtual technologies are thriving in the in the influx of requests from the organizers of the events, because everybody will have to have an event and understand they need to have it, but how to have it in a hybrid or in a totally digital format is going to be a new challenge, and it's going to be tested throughout this year, and the coming years is going to be refined. So we also have noticed that there's more and more, telesales and telemarketing has been again present in other industries significantly, but now it's a reality for the oil fields to do sales, and having less meetings in person will drive the remote and video sales. So that's a big change as well. What do you think, Michael?
Yeah, definitely. I'd like to share one comment which we had from the oilfield service companies. They told that they revised the entire vendor list for them, and one of the criteria how they choose a new vendor was a long-term relationship. So they understand that they need to go with the vendor for the next 2 to 3 years. And if the vendor is not stable, not reliable, they doesn't matter how much the service cost or something like that. So they not even consider this vendor, because everyone understand that it's very important to move forward and move forward with the right person, a right vendor, or right partner.
Yeah. And then, for example, the point of technological alignment between sellers and buyers, as well as the clients and partners. You have to have the technology aligned, because if there is a video, if there is any telecommunication that has to happen, so everybody has to have the technology and tools available. And I think the benefit of this time and age is that more of that is already been tested in their personal lives. Now more of that online communication and remote communication comes into the business. Even though it was not necessity before, it now becomes more necessary.
Another thing which we see, that kind of the traditional channels, they at least modified or stop working. So traditional advertising is not working, and you need to find the right way how to communicate with people. Say, for example, if you set up a billboard and nobody use personal transportation or not commute to work, so they do not see that advertising. So you need to find out how to communicate with your potential audience, and need to adjust to the new potential ways. And definitely one of the thing which we see right now, the decision making process will be very, very slow. And if for example, one more example from our interviews, say kind of 3 months ago, 4 months ago, it was just a the decision was about with whom we will work. The person will show up with donuts or a coffee in a field, and this is our vendor, a new vendor, and we start working with the guy. Right now, it will be more tenders, and it will be more.
It's going to be more rigorous process, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's going to be
So it will special procedures how we will make a decision about this. Yeah. So, and definitely more data will be available for analysis, because more and more activities, marketing and sales activities, will be digital. So we'll have more analysis, and this will increase role of CRM systems.
Yes, correct. And that all kind of brings up the point that if companies were a little more hesitant and conservatives to invest in the new technology for marketing and sales, because they thought all you've got to have is a phone and a truck, now there's going to be more things that companies need to consider to invest in to make sure that marketing and sales do perform as expected and deliver on what their goals are for the year, for the quarter, or for the upcoming 5-year plan.
So, how the cruises impact oil field, and we heard lots of good and bad from our interviewers, and so definitely the upstream was declining 70-80%. Say, for example, rig count down 70%, frac 80%. 90%, depending on the region, and but from other perspective, a midstream not recognize any declining. They see, we have some kind of adjustments, but not that big as we need to do something about our staff or cutting costs. So they feel better, way better than downstream services. So talking about active rig trends and comparing this crisis with previous downturns, we see that the speed of down turn is way higher than it was previously. So we had like a drop down 70% almost in 2 months, and it's still going down. So there is a good thing about this and a bad thing. Bad thing definitely, because the drilling activity is going down, so less and less jobs are available at the market right now. However, there is a chance that after that, because we see that prices right now kind of back to bounce from definitely from minuses, from negative level. So right now we have a chance that the drilling activity will start going up, hopefully. But we'd like to share some words from our experts about the experience of how it was react from the crisis reacted, so and how the oil field reacted on the crisis. So definitely it was laid off of 30%, 50%. The maximum was 75% of workforce. So the cutting was big, and definitely it was a stressful time for everyone, because it's a stress for a person who was laid off, and definitely it's a stress for manager, because you need to decide. And in many cases, and because I was in those shoes, in many cases it's really tough to decide whom. Sometimes people try to avoid that decision, because it's very, very stressful for both parties. Another thing, because of COVID, not all sites allow contractors, so it's very, very interesting, because there is no quarantine on the site, but they not allowed anyone to, like, outside the company. So it means that some of the services just stopped. Another word was like trying to be as skinny as lean as possible, to be able to kind of leave those next 2 years. This is like the kind of vision of how the market will adapt and survive. So next 2 years, to be prepared to live in this market, in those market circumstances. And another things which affect us, no travel abroad, and there is no chance to have a face-to-face meeting. So, and again, if you travel, not all the companies allowed you to have a personal meeting. So this is another challenge and another obstacle, which right now we trying to understand how to avoid, and how to move forward.
Yeah, so an interesting, I just wanted to kind of chime in on that one, is that even if you can travel, it doesn't mean that the company you're planning to meet actually is open for the visitors, the external visitors. So you need to be aware of the policy of the company that you're planning to visit as far as the attendance. And it looks like there's going to be less and less of the face-to-face meetings, even the travel when it's even if the travel is available or when it becomes available. I think an important other one that has come up, not surprisingly as much, but at the same time hurtful enough, since there has been cut in different kind of operating expenses of the clients, and it's a trickle effect, I guess, from the prices of oil for the prices of services. When the clients come into you and says, "Well, I'm willing to buy, but I can afford only to pay 30, 40% at a price at a 30 to 40% less." So what do you do with that? So definitely that's been a trend. And again, it's just more of a ripple effect of when there's less money, everybody's lean, trying to run on the smaller kind of team size, as well as trying to support services as much as possible, but at the same time collecting less revenue. So there's a benefit of long-term relationship at a lower cost, rather than collecting more, which now your clients cannot afford to pay. So that's
and it's a chain effect. So say the operator asks the service company to cut, the service company asks their vendor to cut. So, and it's just like a kind of less money for everyone.
Yeah, the domino effect definitely had a place in this case.
Yeah. So, and again, we had a conversation with several clients, and they told, yes, we have to revise list of our vendors, because some of the vendors literally disappear. So they're not in the business anymore. So they decided to go out of the market, go out of business for different reasons. But right now we need to find different vendors. So another impact, we had a conversation with investors, and they told that the multiplicator from EBITDA, how they evaluate the company, is just going down significantly. So investors decrease business evaluation. Banks told that we will not provide any cash because you do not have any revenue, or your revenue declining rapidly. And it's very, very challenging situation for the management team. So yeah.
It is a challenge. Yeah, definitely it is. So all of a sudden your business has become worth less, and because of you just tied to the whole industry situation. At the same time, everybody knows that it's the world is not going to go anywhere, so it has to be done a little differently. So that's where we'll start finding the efficiencies. And an interesting thing that as far as the reaction goes on some of our clients and some of the partners that we've spoken to. So now that everybody's now moving to one degree or another into the working from home environment, so it's harder on the management teams to not only motivate but to control the efficiency of the people when they're not working from the office. So it's just become a totally different thing. So different tools to measure, to set the tasks, to measure the completion of the tasks, and assess performance are being tested and used by many companies just as part of the reaction.
Yeah, one of the a big oil producers. I had a conversation with them. They told that they evaluate the loss of efficiency of the employees as 30%. So just like the total efficiency of the entire company goes down 30% because they start working from home, which is significant amount. So yeah, what we did, and right now we see that we did everything right. So I'm really pleased that we had those decisions, and it was really tough times, like last 2 months. But what we decided, we sat down and decided to build the anti-crisis release RigER 7.5 Phoenix to support our clients and help them to move forward. Some of the modules become free for our clients. We had a free academy access, and RigER Digital Oilfield Academy become free for that period of time, and it just lots of initiatives which will help our clients to move forward and analyze their performance better. So one of the new modules which we recently presented was a job costing module, which help our clients understand where we're leaking and how they can improve their operations. Another thing, definitely, we cut our costs and refocus our team to the short-term goals for fast results, and again, focus on cash. So like we cut some of the long-term programs, our internal programs, and decided to we will move forward to achieve a short-term fast results. Another thing which we did, and this was I believe it was a good impact on our internal team communications. We had daily team meetings and had just an open conversation about what's happening and what we are doing and why we're doing those things. Share some positive news about the personal life, about how we doing, and I believe it was good. So Nikolai, what was your opinion?
It was. I think it was very good, and I think it was timely instituted right after the crisis hit. I think there was a lot of uncertainty among a lot of companies, among a lot of people. People talk, people communicate, so everybody was feeling like what's going to happen. So in that time of crisis, communication was key, and having the daily meetings to check in on how things are going with everybody. Now that everybody was at home with the families, without certainty of any kind. On a health front, on the economic front, on the family front. there's so many different challenges. So it was really helpful to make sure that we're all reconnected on a daily basis.
Yeah, definitely. And I remember those times. So we chat around an hour, different topics. Doesn't matter. It's not about business. It's not about. It's just like a normal conversations. And I believe it was really helpful for people because it was a very stressful time. So we focus and we decided to open several new projects and new things to keep team busy. So to keep people as busy as possible. And surprise, surprise, I evaluate the entire productivity of team is like 120%. Believe me or not, we did more last 2 months than previous 3 months. So yeah, we add new modules to the software, developing mobile and web applications, move uh, clients to the new servers, all the restructuring our infrastructure. Remote implementations methodology was revised and applied for real practice, and we had a good feedback from our clients, and moreover, we had a very good results with like two weeks implementations, which is kind of very fast. So and we focus our effort to the RigER Digital Oilfield Academy, add new course, and a new course will be added next month. So kind of, yeah,
Things are
good
developing. Things are
results.
developing. Yes, indeed. Things are developing pretty fast. So I think it's a good sort of reaction, and it's a good activity, keeping pace and even getting things done even faster, better, and more of them.
And another life hack, what we did and was kind of a good surprise. We call our clients to study the situation. We ask questions: "How guys feeling? What are you doing? What is your perspective?" And because when you had like all the only bad news, you think that everything is going down, and it was a couple of surprises that several clients told, no, we're feeling good, we will survive, and we will grow because we see the opportunities and we will need your help. So, and we got new projects. So my advice in this case: call your clients, communicate with them, and ask how they doing, because your suggestions, just talk to people. And another good impact for our mood and for our leadership was those series of interviews with business leaders. And I'd like to thank all the influencers and interviewers which talked to us those couple months, and it was really insightful and helpful for us, because we're not crying to each other. We're just trying to help and trying to put some idea, like share some ideas and help to each other, and it was really impactful for us. So right now, lots of businesses reopen their doors, and we just need to understand how to reopen and what is the best practice for the reopening. And there is some challenges. So, take for example, for big giants like Facebook and Google, we see some interesting numbers. So 50% of Facebook employees could work remotely within the next 5 to 10 years. And 75% of the employees want to remove from Silicon Valley for the different cities. So it's a big numbers. And another example. So Google told that they will open a 10% in July, and only 30% in September for those campuses. So it means that there is a new reality in the business offices. And here we have the office adjustments where we need to consider, and what we need to consider to reopen. So first of all, work from home become a new reality, and some of the people, they told, yeah, we tried, and we probably will keep it. So we probably do not need an office anymore, and it's a different way how to run the business.
Yep, and I think another thing is that not only they, even if they keep the office, it's going to be maybe for several days a week. There's also such thing as the staggering of people being at the office. So that's it's the staggering of groups of people that are attending. So as well as scheduling a certain amount of people to be at the office given the space of it. So interesting thing. So the traffic direction is another new sort of policy that has been implemented in larger offices, specifically when there's elevators. There's a lot of different hallways and where people can be too close to each other, and by that expose each other to unnecessary risks. And so now the traffic, there's going to be more and more traffic signs and walls and directional signage in the office. Social distancing meeting room. So that's a different kind of concept. We used to kind of huddle in a room, have a pizza, and have conversations in every company, right? So now this kind of things may have to change. So larger offices. So now we see that people are now hiring sort of office for larger meetings. They need to go offsite, and those offsite places are going to be hired places for an event.
One of our clients told that they move chairs from meeting rooms.
Yeah, so it's going to be
they move half of the chairs, so to have kind of double social distancing to meet those parameters.
Yeah. So PPEs again become mandatory. Sanitization and practice on the sanitization is now more, and we all know that it's now happening everywhere. Touchless environment again is something that has come up more and more. So then when the voice activated interfaces are required so that people would not be touching anything as much as possible. It's a big thing. Digital document flow, again, we're just kind of going back to that same adjustment. So more and more people are going to be, and companies are implementing the processes where the digital information will be transferred, but not the physical medium are going to be moving throughout the offices as much as possible.
Yeah, and teleconference has become a new business reality. So everyone's know how to use Zoom right now, I hope. But again, it's just how things working. Like mobile workflow and work-life balance, as we already discussed that. And some of the businesses will issue the closed door policy, so they not accept any visitors for a certain period of time. Okay, so let's talk about how the oil and gas will back on track and how the recovery will looks like. So there are so many different forecasts right now, but this was for my perspective as more accurate and showing that the demand and supply will come together, and hopefully next couple of months we'll have a small a little bit adjustments of the demand, and everything will slightly go up. Oilfield after crisis. So what we see as the results of this crisis and how it will affect. So we see the huge disbalance between different industries. Here we have an average week wages in Midland County, Texas. And you can see like kind of oil and gas and manufacturing wage differ so many, like, I don't know, maybe 6 times. So definitely this should be balancing, and it will be balancing. If we want that or not, doesn't matter. It will be balanced because workforce will flow from oil and gas to other industries. Then the infrastructure balancing is another thing which lots of regions struggle with the infrastructure issues right now. I believe that will be better infrastructure because those pipelines and refineries required time to build. Definitely, it will be better infrastructure, and it will be more healthy businesses from a financial standpoint. And market will consolidate around effective players or players with cash. And the funny thing, it's not the same in many cases. So, for businesses, there is an opportunity to hire the best talents. And another thing, our best and most lovely topic is digital transformation. So, and what kind of options we have? We have actually like three different options: wait and see, and survive in 4 to 6 months low or no activity. Again, it's an option for the guys who has cash to survive and just to freeze everything and wait. Again, it could be a strategy. It could be a strategy to wait till the fog will gone, and we will better understand what will how the future will looks like. Another strategy is act and focus on oil and gas and find your place in the industry. This is what we choose. This is what we focus on, and we decided, yes, we will stay in the business. We will work with the industry, and we'll keep developing our product in this way. Another way to search new opportunities and diversify products and industries, because right now, as we see the global shifting in different industries, different areas, you can find new opportunities, new products, because the crisis have two meanings. It's a threat, and this is an opportunity. So find your opportunity. This is the third strategy, and this is the way how you can do. Again, we choose the second one, but a particular business can have those three options: how to react on the crisis. So, and we'd like to share some best practices, and we see that definitely oil and gas 4.0 will be faster implemented, and new technologies will be faster adopting in the oil and gas companies, oilfield services, and all the industry, all the other businesses. Another thing, streamlining the operations. It's time to revise and optimize the business processes. Understand and review the workflow and planning the transition from what we had to what we'd like to do. Definitely increase the role of analysis of different data. And again, it will be not only financial, operational, but technical and market data. And data-driven solutions will be in a huge demand, and adjustable strategy should be in place for most of the businesses.
An adjustable strategy I just wanted to add is that it's a very general term, but I think what we hear more and more now that the reaction should be in days and weeks versus months and years. So nobody can afford to sit and wait for too long to make a decision. So you have to really be able to adjust very quickly to how the situation changes. That will help you to survive and even prosper in this time.
Yeah, and definitely I'd like to remind you the digital oilfield map, which we developed and which we discussed a couple of webinars ago. So definitely, if you right now at level 1 or level 2, it's time to think about moving forward and move forward towards digital oilfield, because in a new reality, in a new world, it will be no way to run the business at 0 level or level 1, unfortunately.
Yes, it is a big change, but I think more and more people are adopting. So our goal is just to help you guys to make a decision, assess where you're at, and then sort of start acting on that. And that's kind of brings up the this point. So we are here to work with the companies from any stage of where they are feeling themselves at, and help them with the first initial readiness assessment of what your situation is, where you want to be. We also, as part of the services, provide the business process review. So we will be able to discuss with you how you work, what you do, and come up with optimal workflows, and then build a plan. And through a project chatter where I identify, so a plan will come out of it, and you will know what needs to happen when and how much of an investment in time and resources of different kinds you may require.
So we are ready to Q&A, if we have
Right.
any.
Yes, so thank you, Michael. And again, it's been a longer conversation than we probably expected, so thank you guys for hanging with us today. We've had a lot to share, so we try to kind of pack it all up into a sizable kind of conversation style of a presentation. And I think we've come up to the top of the hour. I know that many of you are just running late. However, you're running sort of from home office, so you probably your coffee is just in our reach away, as well as a comfortable chair that you may be sitting in. So I don't see any questions right now. I think it's more of a conversation and sharing with you guys the valuable information. However, if you have any questions and would like to talk to us, we're available and accessible at any time. Here's the details right here on the screen. You can call us. You can interact with us through the website. We can always set up a Zoom meeting and have an in-person with a video on chat where you will be able to see and talk to us in real life as if we were just sitting right next to you, and come up with some ideas and plans and have a productive conversation.
Sure, yeah, and I'd like to share some. So we have to condense 20 hours of the conversation with almost 20 hours of conversation with different business leaders to this very, very, very short webinar. So this is what we did, and thank you so much for being with us. And talk to you next time. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, and good luck.